Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and tonight I want to get into something that it's been around for a long time, but it's getting prevalent amongst average everyday folk, whether they're young folk, older folk. Now we know veterans and homeless individuals, they tend to beg for money. Now, the question is panhandling begging or is it a business? Is panhandling begging or is it a business? Now, I know a number of us go out every day. And we've had somebody that's come up to us and asked us for some money. It happened to me last week, last Saturday. Now, I know there are some individuals out there who are having trouble, but I'm seeing a lot of able-bodied individuals. Now, is it the fact that they don't want to work or they can't work? We'll leave that up to individuals. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to talk about begging for change. Is it a business? Is it not a business? Well, let's check out what WHAS in Louisville, Kentucky has to say about panhandling, fair use.
University makes it possible.
Last year I did over 1,300 service calls, all at the push of a button on a tablet.
Service Titan Pay.
It's a business. Some folks can make an awful lot of money panhandling.
It's become a burgeoning problem on almost every road and many, many street corners.
Panhandling, asking for money, is speech. It's communication. That is protected speech.
The 3 H's: hungry, homeless, help.
If you're out here, it's for a reason. Things didn't go right.
Everyone with a sign makes the claim.
I didn't want to be homeless. Not at all.
And Brook and Broadway.
God bless you. Have a blessed day, ma'am.
Is one of the most generous intersections in Louisville.
Why? There's a lot of traffic coming off the freeway.
Jeff Weston says he is as advertised.
We stay at Wayside right now.
Homeless, yes, but even he admits he doesn't have to be hungry. There are several places in town serving free meals.
That's crazy.
The 56-year-old panhandles.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Have a blessed day.
To collect cash for the other things.
For cigarettes, soda pop.
There's no fixed hourly rate.
And it's $5 in 2 hours.
But the daily rate of panhandlers out and about appears to be increasing.
It's a business. It's almost like there is recruitment, there's orientation, there's training, there's communication, there's strategy.
Downtown is Metro Councilwoman Barbara Sexton Smith's.
Have you ever been hit standing out here?
District.
We got a new guy there.
To folks. And so, see, it's a shift change.
And she believes many street beggars are organized, like the guys appear to be. At the bottom of the 3rd Street off-ramp.
Yo, buddy, I got some food for you.
At rush hour.
You staying warm?
A little cold.
Whether they're 2 guys working 2 spots at the same time, or just one guy accepting handouts for a while, then joining his buddies off to the side for a smoke break, and then it's someone else's turn to stand at the traffic light and hold a sign.
It's probably occurring in almost every district.
In Councilwoman Marilyn Parker's District 18, panhandlers frequently return to Hurstbourne and Shelbyville Road as well as pocket pennies or whatever change they can get by Oxmoor Mall.
A lot of these folks are working in tandem or working in groups.
Our video shows coordinated efforts where the Jean Snyder,
She is an amputee, it looks like, but she gets around quite well.
exits in the East End by the Paddock Shops. You think the wheelchair is there?
As a prop.
Right at the evening rush, the woman with the wheelchair worked in the median on Brownsboro Road, while this guy covered the exit ramp. Legally, they're not supposed to be there. They're supposed to be on the sidewalk. But over the course of an hour, they got lucky here and there with every red light. When it was time to go, home wasn't within walking distance. They needed a ride.
They're on this bus. So where are they going?
And it was a long ride.
So this is over by the Target.
Through Springhurst to St. Matthews.
It's going towards Cherokee Park.
St. Matthews over to Old Louisville.
So they've gone a long way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of time and effort.
An hour later, finally, their stop.
There she goes.
At West Oak and 7th.
We're gonna follow them.
At one point, we thought we lost them.
We found them.
But soon caught up with them at the White Castle on Broadway. The woman with the wheelchair previously holding a sign for help, clearly here holding a smartphone.
One situation is taking advantage of another.
Is that fraud in your mind?
Well, it's certainly not ethical. We've heard stories. The person is standing on the street corner, they're soliciting funds, and there's an automobile 4 blocks down the road waiting to take them to another location.
You're homeless?
Absolutely.
They've seen it themselves.
I know who's homeless and who ain't.
Seen new faces.
I don't know where they're from.
Seen help given to those helping themselves.
He was in dirty, dirty clothes. Dirty clothes. And I watched him. And he left and he walked over to McDonald's. And I wondered where he was going. He went and stood out behind a brand new Escalade. Took off his dirty clothes and he had nice shorts on and stuff. And he got in that Escalade and drove away.
That gives him a bad name, Jeff Weston complains, making it tougher in tough times.
I've had one guy drive by and spit at me.
Times when the city wants to attract real business, not more in the business of panhandling.
It's not a good visual for our city.
It's not breaking the law. It's not breaking the law.
With trying to deter unethical behavior from real needs. To be able to separate the two is going to be difficult.
Now, what you saw, that was in Louisville, takes place at I'm not even going to say every major city, because here in Lafayette, Indiana, where I live, I see it every day. Right at the corner of State Route 26 and Meyer Road, right at the Meyer, there's always somebody with a sign. I've had, again, individuals approach me and I don't give them anything. Now, have I given some individuals something in the past, like a veteran, because I'm a veteran? Absolutely. Now, here's the problem. You have individuals who are really homeless, who really need the help. But then you have those, just like the individual just mentioned, that are hustling. They're able-bodied people. They're driving Escalades, BMWs. In fact, there was this white lady in Silver Spring where I work, right off of 16th Street near Georgia Avenue. Now, the government building is over there. No, that's where the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration is, known as NOAA. We used to have a white lady who hung out there. And then it would turn over a shift. And what they would do, they would collaborate over at a cafe. And when they took all their clothes off, because they used to wear the dirty clothes, they were clean as the Board of Health. Now, again, is panhandling a right or is it not a right? Just bear with me while I get some more up there. And again, I don't believe in begging for change. Now, again, are there some people out of work? Yes. But I'm going to go share my screen again and we'll get to another incident where my gentleman, his confessions, why he started panhandling. Just fair use, bear with me as I share my sound. Here we go.
I'd seen people doing it, and one day, almost as a joke, when we
Fair
were
use.
broke, a friend of mine brought up, why don't we try tag teaming this intersection, in particular Dundalk and Halbert Avenue, which we had seen people there before. So we tried it one day, and we both made.
Now, if you're not familiar where Dundalk and Halbert Avenue are, I know exactly where it is. That's in East Baltimore. Going out there, if you're traveling on I-895, you're going toward Middle River and Dundalk. And I had some family that lived out there. And my dad used to work out in Sparrows Point, where they had the old Bethlehem Steel building. But this gentleman is going to give you some confessions.
Around the exact amount of money that we
Fair
needed,
use.
so that was like that first little, it was like the icebreaker for panhandling for me. Just almost sad.
Well, I reluctantly got into panhandling because at the time before, okay, let me back up. I'm an addict, a crack addict. And I had started boosting as a means to support my habit. And I wasn't that good at boosting. I've just done 14 years in federal prison for bank robbery, 7 years before that for bank robbery, 5 years before that for bank robbery. So I can't afford to do none of those things, but I was an addict. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna swallow my pride and I'm gonna panhandle.
I was out of work and I needed money. And I didn't consider, I've been in sales all my life and it wasn't panhandling to me. Being in sales for so long, it was like every day I was asking somebody for money. So it was kind of natural for me to do it. It was, I wasn't afraid to do it because it was accustomed to me to do that. That's my job. I sold.
During one of the most extreme times in my addiction, I really didn't want to hustle or sell drugs. I wanted to use them, but I didn't want to do a lot of work to get them. So, there were times where I didn't want to use drugs, but I wanted to eat after using drugs.
Now, again, here's what you got to understand. If somebody asked you for some money, are you going to help them or are you not? Now, if I'm going to help somebody, I'm not going to give them any money. Why? Because you know what's going to happen. Now, you heard some of the confessions, and you had individuals who were on drugs here. You had another individual who was in sales. So you have all types of lifestyles who get into panhandling. Now, the problem with panhandling from my perspective is it's a nuisance. And you have able-bodied individuals who had jobs, prosperous jobs, but they couldn't get a job. So that's what they said. Or Did they not want a lower job? I mean, I can see it from both sides. But when I'm seeing a number of young panhandlers, and that's the question, young panhandlers. Let me share my screen here, and you have, yes, young panhandlers. Let me share my screen again, and again, fair use, fair use.
The goal isn't graduation day. It's a better every day after. At Ivy Tech Community College, we don't just care about your degree, we care about your life.
In cities, you often see people like this guy. Desperate-looking people, often holding signs like this one. It's natural to want to help people like this man, or this woman begging by a road in Salt Lake City. Her sign says she's stranded, in need of help, trying to get home. When drivers stop, she tells them,
I'm from Seattle. I came down here to live with my boyfriend, and he ended up kicking me out a week before Christmas.
You got nothing then?
No, just my backpack.
She tells this reporter from KUTV she's 1,000 miles from home.
It's hard to eat. It's hard to have a place to stay.
But then the cameraman quietly followed her and found she actually lives just 2 blocks away in this house. In the morning, she'd go shopping with a nice coat and purse, and then in the afternoon, she changed clothes and walked 2 blocks to the highway off-ramp and took out her sign. People gave her money.
About $3, $5.
Doing the math shows she made more than $50 an hour.
I just felt sorry for her. A girl out there like that.
I gave her a couple dollars.
She lives in a house. What do you think about that?
That is crazy. I live in a trailer. Dude, people pull over. I don't say anything to anybody. I hold this sign. I don't make anybody give me money.
It is true that she doesn't make anyone give her money, but lots of people want to help those who seem to be in need.
I got it.
But lots of America's beggars are not needy.
And again, I believe that they're able-bodied people. Now, some of these individuals, if you give them money, you know what they're going to buy with it. And I'm not going to give anybody any money so they can go into a liquor store and buy them a bottle of Mad Dog or some Wild Irish Rose, because you know that's what they're going to do. But there are some individuals out there who are panhandling, and they are making a lot of money. Now, let's just put it into perspective. It's just like YouTube. You can almost call the Cash App frenzy panhandling when people are, and there's nothing wrong with YouTube because they're doing it legally. Because if individuals are going to give you money, of course, you're going to take it. Now, if you are scamming people out of money, and I'm going to get into more scams, particularly these scam calls that we get via telephone. But with panhandling, has anybody seen a rising epidemic in your city in panhandling? I want you all to put your answer in the comment section, because this is a serious problem. A number of us are going to work, minding our own business, and you get somebody that you don't know. And you want to know what's really frustrating about this? I'm always afraid that there's going to be some lunatic out there. If you don't give them anything, they're going to stick you up for your paper anyway. And if you give them something, they're going to want more. If you can't get more, either way, they're going to take your life. So the question is, what are we going to do about the panhandling situation? I mean, it is legal. However, is it a problem? I mean, we already have enough problems in the urban areas with tent cities and vagrants hanging under bridges. Now, is it a lack of jobs? Now, I know panhandling, if people are doing it, the money is tax free. It's almost like prostitution. So, again, is panhandling a hustle or is it begging? You be the judge. Fair use. Let's continue.
They're just freeloaders who've found a good racket. When I first reported on freeloading, I wondered, would these people holding "will work for food" signs really work for food?
I just can't work for anybody.
Would he flip burgers at Burger King?
I wouldn't do it. It's a monotonous job.
Maybe construction.
I can't do it. My back.
He says he would do janitorial work.
That I would do.
But will he do it 5 days a week?
That I can't do.
Why not?
Well, why should I? Why does a human have to work every day if he don't want to?
I have lawn work. Do you? Do you have some right now?
I offered jobs to a dozen people who said they'd work for food. All 12 said they'd come, but only this man did. He did the work and we paid him $20, but he might have made more money begging.
There have been estimates that earning $100 a day panhandling is easy.
Steve Malanga and Heather McDonald write for City Journal, a magazine about urban policy. They say beggars today are hustlers.
But there must be a lot of them who are genuinely homeless or mentally ill, desperate people.
Well, every big city has food kitchens galore. The reason that people are on the streets asking for change is overwhelmingly drugs and alcohol.
I wasn't homeless, you know? It was just an easy way to get money.
John Buster used to make a living panhandling.
And the best day? Maybe about $150.
Did he have trouble finding a job?
I didn't look for no job. Right. You know what I'm saying? That was my job.
Panhandling as a job is common in some places. Here in San Francisco, packs of young, healthy kids beg for spare change. Spanging, they call it.
Gotta survive, you know? Gotta eat, gotta drink.
An art student from Stanford interviewed some of the kids.
Wake up in the morning, and start drinking, go to bed, do it again. That's pretty much it.
They have the most deep-seated sense of entitlement that I've ever come across.
We want to be able to sit where we want to.
This is our home, man. Nobody's gonna make us leave.
Punishing.
Fair use. Now, this is true. You see a number of young individuals with the entitlement. And the problem with the entitlement, it really breeds a lot of laziness. I can remember a number of us who are Gen Xers. We were latchkey kids because our parents worked. But when it was time for us to go to work, when we were old enough, we did work. And I can tell you back in the days, $2.89, $3.35 was minimum wage, but we worked for minimum wage. Now, I'm not going to say they weren't panhandlers then, but around every urban area and even some of the smaller cities, it's increasing. Like I said, I live here in Lafayette, Indiana, right at the corner of State Route 26 and Meyer Road. There's a panhandler coming out of Walmart on Park East Road, right down South Street, panhandler. And these aren't old folks. These are young folks. So my question to these young folks is, do you want to work? Is the pay going to be good enough? Because you're not making $3.35 an hour like I did. You're making it upwards to $15 an hour. Now, you may not want to flip burgers. And I do understand working in McDonald's. You might not get 40 or 50 hours every week. That's because of the volume of business. However, when you're panhandling, how long do you intend on panhandling? Because here in the Midwest, winters can be very brutal and summers can be very brutal. And we're here in the month of April right now, and it's going to get hot. And one thing that I'm going to see that's going to be a little different with panhandling, you're going to have violent panhandlers. And that's what you have to beware of. If you don't give them anything, they might try to take it. Fair use, let's continue.
Homeless people for being homeless when insufficient shelter space is unavailable.
America's so-called homeless advocates often say government should solve this problem by spending more on social services, shelters, subsidies for affordable housing, jobs program.
This is a solution that is utterly irrelevant to these kids because they're not planning on settling down. They don't want housing.
Really rely on the generosity of others, and there's some very generous people.
There sure are.
Thank you so much, sir.
This
Oh,
beggar
thank
collected
you.
$8 in less than an hour.
Past minimum wage. Can you help me, ma'am?
That's me with a beer.
Thank you.
Since people wouldn't give John Stossel money, I hired this makeup artist to transform me into a beggar. She glued a beard to my face. Then I put on some old clothing.
You ready to freeload? It's the new John Stossel.
I hit the streets and started begging. I didn't want to get in anyone's face, so I didn't beg aggressively. Most of the time, I just sat on the sidewalk. At first, I tried the basic homeless and cold, anything will help sign.
Little help?
It worked.
A little bit?
This woman gave me food.
Oh, thank you very much. A little food.
I even got offered a cigarette.
No, thank you.
This man gave me some change and a job offer.
Listen, if you're looking for a little work, I need somebody to hand out flyers. You know, if you're around, I'll see you tomorrow and
Here?
give you some work. Yeah.
Thank you.
After half an hour, I switched to this sign.
Can I get a beer?
I'd seen beggars trying this more honest, or you might say funny approach. I didn't think anyone would give this guy money, but I was wrong.
Thank you.
You know, I'm a beer drinker myself.
Yeah, thank you.
I made just as much money with my beer
Thank you,
sign
sir.
as I did with my cold and homeless sign. Some people wanted to take my picture.
That's funny as hell. Can I have a picture with you?
Sure.
My girlfriends will think that's too cute. I'll buy you a
Okay.
beer.
There you go.
Did you get it? Jenny gonna crack up.
We caught up with the people who gave me money, gave them their money back, and asked them, why did you give?
It's kind of cold outside. I'm pretty cold myself, so I'm thinking about his situation. I don't know, that guy looked pretty needy, I suppose.
I just begged for an hour, but I did well. If I did this for an 8-hour day, I would have made $90. 23,000 for a year. Tax.
Now, if you don't know who John Stossel is, he was a reporter for ABC. Now, with all that begging, that hustling, and this is not drug dealing. This is simply sitting out there with a sign. We'll work for food. Made $90. Now, you might not think that is a lot of money, but that's tax-free money. Now, if you do that 7 days a week, that's $630. And if you do that for an entire month, heck, that's over $2,500. Now, let's look at the situation. There are people, and I have to tell you, just to be fair and balanced there are people who are homeless. And you can always learn from somebody who is homeless. I'll take advice from anybody. And here's why. Because if they're in a situation that I don't want to be in, I'm going to learn not to be in that situation. Now, I realize that jobs out here, they're not the best because of management. I realize that some people can't be entrepreneurs because they don't have capital. But is it really worth going out there panhandling? Because even a panhandler can get robbed by another panhandler and other people out there who are very violent out there in the major cities as well. There have been cases where homeless people have been deleted. But the bottom line, when it comes to freeloading, we have a lot of freeloaders here in America. And it's not just panhandling. You have well-to-do people who are on welfare, they're scamming. You have all these scammers who are flipping houses. That's a scam. Not saying that it hasn't worked, but for the most part, it doesn't work. I mean, you have pyramid schemes out here, like Amway. Now, I'm not saying multi-level marketing is a fraud, but let's be honest. There's only a certain amount of people who are going to make money, because in multi-level marketing, if you bring in enough people to do the selling for you, well, now you have competition. And what happens, it becomes static. It doesn't move. So with panhandling, if you have a lot of people doing it, are these people really getting rich off of panhandling? What are the risks of panhandling? You can catch a cold. You can be deleted. You may be accused of robbing somebody, because a number of these individuals, particularly the ones who are disguising themselves, they could be the ones that are looked at as being very suspicious. And you want to know something else? With technology, can be followed. As you saw in the broadcast from John Stossel and from WHAS in Louisville, there are cameras. There's always somebody watching. But let's continue. And if you want to check out the video, this is a good topic. Nobody else is doing it. This is an old topic, talking about panhandling. Is it a hustle or is it begging? You be the judge. Fair use. Let's continue.
Free. That easy money is why cities are filled with panhandlers.
Individuals respond to incentives. If that incentive includes giving them money for no work, there'll be more of them doing that.
And the people who give,
They're doing a very bad thing. They are merely perpetuating somebody's misery. As long as they can stay on the streets getting money for drugs and alcohol, they're going to. And they're enabling a very self-destructive lifestyle.
you're just right-wingers who are not compassionate. Some of these kids, adults, must be in need.
Some are, but the proper solution for that is not to keep enabling a lifestyle that eventually is going to lead...
Just walk right by, just ignore them?
Yes.
That's the advice city agencies give. Give real change to the homeless. Call us. We'll send an outreach team to help.
Give to charities. Don't give to people. It doesn't get through.
A few cities, this is Athens, Georgia, try to get through to people by installing fake parking meters. They call them homeless meters.
On the parking meters, it says, don't give to the panhandler. If you feel a need for compassion, put it in here. We'll make sure it goes to people who really need the money, and the money is used in the...
Let me stop you right there now. If the government is getting themselves involved with anything, is it really going to go to the people, or is it going to go in their pockets? I mean, parking meters, I've never seen that. This is something brand new to me. Now, if you're thinking about it, that's another scam. And I believe I'm going to do a series on America being a scam. A lot of us are being lied to, and particularly, and shout out to Angry Man, he talked about Gen Xers, and you know what? We've been lied to. A lot of us have. I mean, we took the bait. We've been lied to in school. We've been lied to by some of our aunts and uncles. We've been lied to by people we work with, it's a bunch of scamming going on, and people are basically taking advantage of nice people. This is why in the real world, I'm on my own business, and I don't be nice unless it's necessary for me to be nice. And when it comes to giving, you want to know another type of panhandling? Church. Look how much money these pastors make. And what are they preaching? They're preaching nothing but nonsense too. But somehow a preacher's voice sounds so eloquent, the words sound so smooth, the words get right under your skin, and particularly women are better at this, particularly African American women in the church. When they go and start shouting hallelujah, that pastor comes up, he finds a way to get them to pull money out of their pockets. So if you think about it, panhandling is not just out in the streets, it's fines from the government. Somebody's always trying to find a way to get money from somebody. Colleges, I call that a form of panhandling. How come they're raising tuition every year? They got a lot of money, but they want more money. Tolls. I mean, here in Indiana, and I lived in Pennsylvania, toll roads have been paid for years. Why haven't they taken the tolls off? Well, they find some type of excuse like, oh, well, we didn't make enough money, but the road was paid for 60 years ago. They want to keep draining money out of people. So when we think about panhandling, there are a lot of hustles that I can consider panhandling. And this is real life. This isn't YouTube. This is real life. Traffic tickets, you have to find out where all that money is going. And when you give somebody money, particularly some of these homeless individuals, you know what they're going to buy with it. Now, there are places that give away free food. I used to work at McDonald's a long time ago. We didn't throw that food out, we gave it away. Homeless always had a meal. Some of them are eating better than we are. You look at welfare. Some of the people don't need to be on welfare. That's basically panhandling as well. Now, it's nothing wrong with hustling. However, the entitlement is the issue. The laziness is the issue. There is enough work out here. Might not get paid enough, I understand. You're never going to get paid enough working for somebody. The bottom line is, you have to decide what you want to do with your life. Now, some people choose to go down the wrong path. Some people get suckered into going down in the wrong path. The bottom line is you got to keep your eyes and ears open. Fair use. Let's continue.
In the right way.
Resources do exist to help the truly needy. Food kitchens are plentiful. One charity I like is the Dough Fund. They helped John Buster put panhandling behind him. Instead of giving handouts, they retrain people to take responsibility for their lives.
They don't allow you to get food stamps or anything or nothing like that. That's not allowed in the Dough Fund. They want you to be independent.
They gave John room and board and paid him to clean streets. Now he supervises others.
You don't have to wait around for somebody to give you something. You go out there and you make your own money. You know, you get your self-esteem back.
Because happiness comes from productive work, not freeloading.
Franklin University makes it possible.
Again, that is true. If you really want to help yourself, you got to be productive. Now, again, I'm just asking a question here. Is panhandling a hustle or it is begging? Now, again, I'm seeing more panhandling, and there are going to be more people who are going to ask me and some of you out there for some extra change. The bottom line is, how are you going to handle it? Are you going to be nice enough to give up some of your money so they can go buy a bottle of Wild Irish Rose or some Manischewitz or some Mad Dog or some Squares, which is cigarettes? Or be nice enough to volunteer in a soup kitchen where you can help folks? That's something you have to be the judge about. But I'll tell you this, when it comes to my hard-earned money, I'm not giving up anything if I don't have to. Well, you don't have to try to take it. But the bottom line is this. When it comes to your life, you have to decide what you want to do or where you want to go in life. Now, again, I'm not saying that everybody who's panhandling is bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying the principle of it. Because on one side of the coin, it does seem like freeloading. I'm not even going to say it does. On one side of the coin, it is freeloading. And this is based off of the individuals that you heard in the videos. Maybe 13 minutes of videos here. And you had some individuals who were really homeless and some that were entitled. And I told you about the young folks. And there are going to be more and more young folks getting into panhandling. And with the young folks out here, a number of them really don't want to work. That's why they're still living at home. You can have some who are on YouTube. They don't want to show their face. You know where they are? They're probably out there panhandling too, but they're living in their mom's basement. So in the end, I'm just going to say this. This is the question. Is panhandling a hustle or is it begging? You be the judge. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. Now, if you are looking for some STEM content, you check out the QCIS channel. That's my second channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, if you cannot find the 401 Talk Zone radio show or the STEM channel, which is the QCIS channel on YouTube, you can check both of those channels out on Twitter. Now, for the QCIS channel, since it is an educational channel, I take it one step further. You can also find that channel on LinkedIn. And in the end, I'm just going to say, be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. And once again, thank you for listening and viewing this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.